Hello, I'm Jeff Myers, and welcome to Elgin Today. On this edition, we open this show with the dedication of the late Robert Gilliam's memory wall at the Robert Gilliam Municipal Complex, which houses City Hall. We'll hear from 4 people involved on this day, including Robert's widow, Mary Ann Gilliam. Parks and Recreation Director Randy Reopelle will tell us more about the Parks and Recreation Foundation, which recently hosted 3 events at Lord's Park. Mayor David Kaptain's segment takes us to Larkin High School, where fish now swim year-round in the Japanese koi pond and garden. Larkin Principal John Tuin tells us all about this. And finally, 2 of our city's greatest citizens of all time are involved with the show. We say goodbye to Elgin historian, 40-year U46 instructor, and former mayor Mike Alft, as Mike and his wife Fran leave Elgin to live with their son and relatives in Pennsylvania. And we say congratulations to Elgin's most well-known voice, Floyd Brown, who will become a member of WGN's Walk of Fame and ceremonies on May 27th. Floyd worked for WGN Radio from 1971 to 1999 when they were the nation's #1 station. We'll have these stories and more on this edition of Elgin Today. It's Wednesday, April 20th. Relatives and friends of the late Mr. Robert Gilliam are viewing his recently created memory wall. Mr. Gilliam passed away in December of 2014. He served 40 years as a city council member. This wall is located at the Robert Gilliam Municipal Complex, which houses City Hall. Before we speak with Mr. Gilliam's relatives, Mayor David Kaptain tells us more of what we're seeing on this day and his remembrances of Bob Gilliam.
We'll dedicate the wall, and it's to Bob's service and all the things that he's done as a city councilman. And I like to talk about 2 things that I remember about Bob that he never did. Bob never brought a bunch of paperwork with him or a computer to the city council meetings. He was always prepared. He was up to speed on everything that was in there. He did his homework before he got there. He was ready to make his vote. He knew what his position was going to be. And if he had a comment, he made the comment. The other thing was that Bob never waited for the wind to blow at a city council meeting. He knew what he was going to do, and he had in his mind there was only one way the wind blew, and that blew in the favor of the city of Elgin. And that's what guided Bob as a councilman. He did what was best for the city every time. And when you do that, yeah, you're going to make some people unhappy, because you do what's right for the greater good of the community, and that's what Bob Gilliam did.
Bob's sister Valerie Gilliam, who helped create the wall, had these thoughts on this day.
I was glad to see it all come to fruition. We worked very hard on it. It's a great tribute to my brother, and a great honor, and the wall helps to assure me that he will always be remembered. And I really appreciate all the work the city's done for him.
Mr. Gilliam's widow, Mary Ann, spoke to us after the dedication ceremony.
Yes, it's a really wonderful display. Bob would be very proud of it. He really loved Elgin his whole life, and this would be something that he would be very proud of. He always said, "Don't forget me."
Well, we never will. 40 years, and he's well known by everybody in town.
Yes, he is. And the whole family, we're all so happy and proud of this display, and we want to thank everybody at the city who worked on it and who came up with the idea. It was just really a wonderful tribute to a long career of public service.
The mayor had fine stories, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Especially with Bob not using a computer and not testing the wind. That was Bob. So he was a man who believed what he believed and always tried to do the right thing for the city.
And while others enjoyed a slice of the day's great cake, we spoke with Robert's younger brother, Joseph Gilliam.
Every time I come down here, I look at this wall, so it's going to always remind me of my brother. When I look at that and read it, it's hard to believe that it was 40 years. But I remember as a young guy helping him campaign and putting signs out for him and things like that. So it's just great to see the accomplishments that he was able to do with the 40 years.
This free event at the Lord's Park Pavilion brought out a great crowd in April and was sponsored by the Elgin Parks and Recreation Foundation. So a few days later, we talked with Randy Reopelle, the director of the Elgin Parks and Recreation. He told us about the foundation and about this event.
The foundation was created about 3 years ago, and during these first 3 years, we really focused on providing programming for children whose family couldn't afford for them to participate typically. And we've created some specific special programs like the drop-in soccer at the ERC for free, Kids and Cops golf program, which is cool. We've also fundraise a lot for the Recreation Youth Scholarship, which you're very familiar with and been doing a lot of that during the past 3 years. But this past year, we've kind of shifted our focuses to our parks and kind of focusing on making sure that our parks, which are just absolutely incredible, they're so beautiful, so wonderful, we want to make sure they're going to be here for the next generation, for the next 50 and 100 years. And that's why we had recently the program Lord's Park Golden Memories, which is kind of a series of programs just kind of featuring on the great memories that have been created in our parks. And through that process, what we're looking for is people that want to partner with our foundations to help assure that these parks are going to be there forever. So we have a planned giving program that I talked about. We're in the process of putting together charitable trust annuities where people can, it's an investment tool, but it will also benefit our parks. And then also just straight out donations that can be used for capital projects at the parks. Just we want to maintain them at a really high level and just make sure they're going to be there for our children, our grandchildren, our grandchildren's grandchildren.
Is there a city site that folks can learn more about donations?
Yeah. ElginParksFoundation.org is the home of that, and they can learn on it right there. Also on the city's website, the Youth Scholarship Fund, there's a donation button there that they can hit and donate right on the internet.
And while Elgin Today was at Lord's Park, we got this information upcoming about the park's Farm Zoo.
Please join us on May 14th from 1 o'clock till 4 o'clock for Elgin's May Heritage Month. We're having an event in the Farm Zoo in Lord's Park. It's a family event. There will be free popcorn, cake, water, and free giveaways. Also of great significance again is the Farm Zoo is reopening on June 4th from 11 until 3, and it will run through August 12th. We are still in need of community volunteers, so please, if you can donate 4 hours of your time to count visitors that are coming into the Farm Zoo, please contact me at 847-888-2348, or you can go on our Facebook page, Lord's Park Zoo, Elgin, Illinois, and you can write a request there, or you can email me directly at terrygable@hotmail.com. We are still in need of volunteers, so please seriously think about volunteering for the Farm Zoo if you think it's something worthwhile to keep going in Elgin.
It's time for our segment with Mayor David Kaptain. What beautiful weather we're having here today, Mayor.
Beautiful outside, Jeff, and we're at, again, this is the mayor's a visit to unique places in the city of Elgin. And today, it's been a place that everybody's familiar with, but what you're seeing today is probably part of that building that you are not familiar with. We're at Larkin High School today with Principal John Tuin. And we're in the new koi garden and the Japanese garden that's located in the central part of Larkin High School. And this project was started last July, and here we are in early spring and starting to see the plants come up. And Principal Tuin, tell us what the purpose of the new garden here is going to be for the Larkin High School.
And it's beautiful, we might add.
Well, thank you very much. A year ago, a little over a year ago, we were really looking at the courtyard, trying to think, how could we utilize this space in the most effective way? It had some issues. It didn't look particularly pleasing. It was kind of flat, some overgrown bushes. And so we just had to start to imagine, okay, so how could this be used? One of the issues that we run into is we're landlocked. I say we're the only school that has a food court across the street. But because we're landlocked, it's sometimes difficult to find an outdoor classroom environment for AP environmental class. And so other schools in the district have places to go to. Something outdoors around their campus. But here, we didn't really have anything, so we started to see this space as something that could be utilized by our AP environmental classroom. And so that's really what it is an outdoor classroom. But to do that, we brought in a lady lives in St. Charles who they call her the Koi Whisperer. Mary Ellen Melanovska we call her M, came in and worked with the students and literally had them design the courtyard.
Really?
And so she came in several sessions and the students designed it. Wow. And then based on that design, then we started to put it into place. And again, last July, like you said, is when we started to put it in. And so as it started to take shape, it became more than just an AP environmental classroom, but it started to become a focal point for the school and a source of pride. Yeah. And it was kind of cool how over the season, especially in the winter sports, even though the pumps were turned off and the waterfalls didn't work, it still was very attractive. Yeah. And so other schools would come from other places around in the community and and it was kind of neat to see them looking like, wow, we don't have one of those.
Wow.
And again, it became a source of pride for the students.
Everybody was envious. The whisper you talked about, is there a time that the public can see her? She's here on the weekends sometimes, isn't she?
She comes from time to time,
Yeah.
again, to help with our students and to help with us to make sure that we're doing it well. She's an expert on koi fish. One of the unique things that happened is she provided 6 fish for us. They
survived the winter, didn't they?
They did survive the winter. That was an interesting process, watching that. But they're up to almost 30 inches long is the longest one.
Wow.
And but the one that she gave us 3 right away, and 2 days later, one of them had babies or had laid eggs.
Wow.
And the eggs were throughout the whole pond. And then we saw the whole process of those eggs hatching. And then now we had probably 150 babies, 130 of those that we've taken out. There's still probably about 30 babies left in there.
Really? Wow.
But they're in aquariums throughout the building. And again,
Really?
so it's given students a chance to see them inside the building. We've sold some of the fish. So it's been an interesting experience.
You've got a sidebar market here almost.
Yeah.
It's an incredible
For a
story,
short
man.
time, anyway. It is, and that's and I think this makes something unique. You took a space that was not being well used and turned it into something that became valuable. I know Debbie Perriman at Elgin High is a friend of mine, and she does outdoor. She does exactly what you said. She walks out of the classroom, walks along Poplar Creek, and they do their classrooms outside. But you don't have that opportunity here, and you've created that opportunity, and I think that's terrific. Being an environmentalist myself, and in the water business for over 35 years, and looking at what you're doing here is a great opportunity for the kids, and to come out and really see how these things can benefit. We're going to talk a little bit about your the process that you're going to do with fish here, and raising fish, and how to look at using the wastes and the materials that come out of this kind of water is really something that's exciting, and how to I think it gives kids that a lot of times kids that don't have a chance to see these kind of things a real opportunity and a chance to see how this stuff works. And this is really a great environment. Future plans here. I know the area we're in has to be redone a little bit. You want to make it a little bit more accessible. It's going to become really a classroom space and sometimes during the year. So what are the future plans here, and how do we plan? What's the timeline to finish the project?
We probably still have just a couple more rocks to put in, and that was an interesting process to watch students literally helping me move these rocks.
Yeah.
And without the students, we couldn't have done it.
Wow.
But the future,
Where'd you get the rocks?
from I believe the local quarry. And so that was interesting. But the future plans then are for behind us here. There's a place for an aquaponic system. We have some pipes that are built so that it's made ready so we can put it in this aquaponic system. The aquaponics then would use the fish waste to feed the plants, and then the plants would feed the fish and create kind of a cycle that students could get firsthand access to learning what that's all about. So that's one of the big plans for this space.
That's great. Well, you're a green mayor. That's music to your ear.
Well, it is, and for a long time, and I'll ask this question as part of my job for 30-some years was monitoring wastes in water and looking at ammonia levels and phosphate levels and things like that. Is that part of going to be part of the curriculum?
It already has been. In fact, I didn't know anything about ammonia levels and all that, but working with the AP Environmental Classroom, the teacher's been very instrumental in teaching me. And so we actually measure ammonia levels, and that was one of the concerns I learned, that in the wintertime, it freezes over, traps the ammonia in, which is bad, so we had to keep an opening so that we could let the oxygen.
That's how you save the fish that way.
It was very interesting.
Wow.
So yes, all that is analyzing the chemical content of the water and how that impacts the fish.
That's great. We got about 2 minutes, man.
And part of the summertime, aeration is provided by the spilling of the water here, but in the wintertime, that becomes an issue too. And they can actually starve or be oxygen starved even though they're in the water. And I think that, again, this is really a great environment and an opportunity for young people to learn while seeing things grow. And to talk about having the fact that you're raising baby fish here goes back through the whole cycle and how these cycles connect each other. So again, future plans for this, how many kids are going to be using this, how many classes are going to be using this in the course of a school year?
Well, we have some special ed classes that we would like for them to utilize it as well. It does have a very calming effect, and we're thinking that might be a good.
I'm not ready to take a nap. It's so calming right here.
So that's one area. The other area is that we have 3 sections of AP Environmental Science, but we're not open to other classes. Art classes, students have drawn some of the elements here, so it's open to really any teacher who wants to use it.
It's great. It's wonderful. And of course, this is built on Cyrus Larkin's old farm, is it not? So this is kind of a throwback, isn't it?
And this is, these are the kind of things, and taxpayers ask these questions all the time. What's the return on the investment? And, this is not just something that's here for the pleasure of people walking by. This is actually going to pay dividends back to the school, to the community, and to the kids that are here. I think it's a great use of taxpayers' money to do this and create a space here that's great. One last thing, John, anything you want to say to wrap up?
Well, kind of going along with what you said, I had a student come to me this year that said that she's going to college and major in environmental studies, and she said that this pond had impacted that.
That's great. That's great. Well, Mayor,
that's the bottom line for everything for us. Yep. And a great project. Really enjoyed being here today, and we'll look forward to doing a program again next month.
Yeah, we will. We'll put your work clothes on. We got you working here today.
We sure do.
Yeah. You're fresh from vacation.
I am. I'm all strength and energy and vinegar right now.
That's great. Mayor Kaptain, that's great. John Tewin, thanks a lot. This is a marvelous place. Thanks for the tour.
Thanks for having us.
That's our segment from Larkin High School with Mayor David Kaptain and Principal John Tewin.
Throughout this entire century, when the warmer weather began to appear in the spring, it always made me think of the Downtown Neighborhood Association's Harvest Market. And here in May, with the warm weather now with us, it's time to once again check in with the man in charge of the Harvest Market to find out what will be happening in 2016.
We're really looking forward to this year. We had so much fun last year. We're going to open up, as always, the first Thursday of June, and we go until the first Thursday of October. Like last year, we're going to have our food trucks. We're going to have all of our regular vendors. We're going to have music. We're going to have dancing. We're going to have kids programs. We're going to have local nonprofits. It's going to be a party.
The community thought so much of it, and so did the city, that you won an Image Award. Congratulations.
Thanks so much. That was really humbling, really an honor. It was a lot of work for a lot of people. We think we did a good job, and we're really, really pleased that we were recognized for it.
You always have something special. So different folks coming out this year, so I know you're lining things up for us, aren't you?
We are. I'm getting some new vendors in, looking at some lovely bakeries, maybe some cupcakes, maybe some coffee. Just you'll have to come by and see.
All right. We'll have to diet before June.
Yes. Yep.
Tell us about the hours and location.
We are at 200 North Grove Avenue here in Elgin, which is the parking lot with by the old library. And the hours are every Thursday from the first week of June through the first week of October from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m.
And you had great crowds last year, didn't you?
We did. We had excellent crowds. We averaged 500 people a week. We'll have all kinds of entertainment: singers, dancers, hula hoopers, jugglers. Come on down and you'll have to see. We'll have merchants from here in Elgin. I'm trying to think specifically of folks. Well, Shared Harvest will be there. Tend Your Garden are from Elgin. And there will probably be a few others as well. The market is great for the community. It means a lot for the community because it's a place where everyone can come. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're from Elgin, if you're from the Elgin area, you can come to the market, you can experience it, you can do your shopping, you can get great food, you can meet friends. What's not to love?
Can I go there and get my blood pressure again?
Yes. Our presenting sponsor is Amita Health System. Again, this year we will be doing health checks every week. Registered nurse will be there. We also have BMO Harris, who is sponsoring us for a double link coupon program. So if you use a link card, you can double your purchasing power at the market.
We're here at 820 North Liberty, American Legion, where on Monday, April 4th, we said goodbye to an Elgin legend, Mr. Mike Alft, moving away after 66 years in the city of Elgin. He moved away with his lovely wife, Fran. They're now going to be living in Pennsylvania with their son and their family. Now, Mike Alft has done so much for the city, we had to make sure we were there at the final event that he was at. We talked with three well-known folks of Elgin who know him quite well. Starting first with Mr. Mike Bailey, the longtime managing editor of the Courier News and a longtime author. He had these words about Mr. Alft.
It was my first year at Elgin Community College, 1969, and of course they had no campus then. Elgin Community College had scattered sites, and this was on the second floor of the Ellis Business College, which is 101 North Spring. It's right near St. John's, up above there at night, and I took civics and political science from him. And I mean, it's easy to say this now because we're all here to say goodbye to him, but he was easily the best instructor I ever had in college. And I went all the way through and got a master's degree. He knew more about civics, more about political science than anybody I've ever encountered. And you wouldn't think that that could be stimulating. I couldn't wait to get there because he had wonderful stories to tell. He knew everything. He spoke in a way that made me understand, and it really got me interested in journalism, just to be a part of that. Well, we did a lot of work with Mike when I was at the Courier. He wrote columns for us. There's actually 7 bound editions down at the library that are in the public domain. Anybody can use them. He wrote literally hundreds of columns, and every year he'd say, I don't think I can come up with any more, and then we'd do another year's worth. And they were all interesting, they were all fascinating. I'm really going to miss Mike personally and professionally.
When I first came to Elgin, I taught at Larkin first, and then it was the time where the unions sat at one table, ETA another, and so that's how you got to kind of know the people. And then I went to Elgin High, and then 3 years, and then Mike Alft was there. And he was a revered teacher. And I was scared of him. It's like, he's the best. Oh, you just looked up to it. Was it one to have a mentor of his caliber? It's like, to walk by him in the hall, that was big stuff. You know, I just remember being young, and now I can't remember so much about being young anymore. Mike, my pleasure teaching with you, just knowing you. You've done so much for everybody in Elgin. Thank you for the years of dedication, your honesty, your truthfulness.
I'm Liz Marston. I'm the museum director at the Elgin Area Historical Society, and Mike Alft is the Historical Society. Without him, we couldn't have a Historical Society. He's a charter member. He started the Historical Society, and he has documented every piece of history that there is to document. Everything that we do is because Mike Alft already wrote it. So he's very important to us. I don't know what we're going to do. Fortunately, we can still call him anytime. He said anytime, and we can get those answers that we need.
It's a sad moment for me. You've always been so prominent in Elgin and really meaning everything in Elgin. So for you to leave, I know it twinges at you, but you're breaking my heart, young man.
Yeah. Well, an event in Elgin is not the same without you present.
Well, you're most kind. Your thoughts as you leave Elgin? It means you were here 66 years. You love the city, and everyone loves you.
Right. Never had a hometown. Grew up during the Depression when my father moved from town to town in search of a job. And when we landed here in Elgin in 1950, I said, this is the place. That's like Brigham's Young overlooked Great Salt Lake. This is the place.
Well, without your knowledge and you keeping history alive in Elgin, everyone knows Elgin because of the watch factory, but you crystallized it and made sure everyone know that modern time began in Elgin, and you helped continue that.
Yes, thank you. I like to think that I came down the river with James T. Gifford in 1835. I was here when the first watch came off the assembly line.
There's no important moment in Elgin history where Mike Alft wasn't there. Well, we're going to miss you.
Thank you.
And before we hear from Floyd Brown and his reaction to being named to the WGN Radio's Walk of Fame and ceremonies on May 27th, let's get a chance to remind you of a couple events that take place in Elgin. That same weekend, the 39th annual Elgin Valley Foxtrot will be Saturday, May 28th. This year, launching of the 10K. That's new this year. The 10K run will start at 7:30 on that morning, the 5K race at 7:45, and the 2-mile walk for a cause at 7:55. You can register online up until a couple of days of the event at cityofelgin.org. and also get some more information about the Elgin Valley Foxtrot online as well. And that same Memorial Day weekend, a welcome home tribute for our Vietnam veterans, the Healing Field with 1,748 American flags representing the POWs and the MIAs that did not come home. This will be at the American Legion Post 57, 820 North Liberty. For more information, you can call 847-460-2467. The flags will fly actually on the open field just north of Post 57, and it's in partnership with American Legion Post 679. It is a full weekend with the site set up here at the open field on Thursday, May 26 from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and the flag posting that night at 6 p.m. Opening ceremonies are set for Friday, May 27th at 6 p.m., and the Field of Honor will be open 24/7 from that Friday, May 27th through Memorial Day, May 30th. Again, it's a welcome home tribute for our Vietnam veterans, the Healing Field, from May 27th to May 30th, just north of the American Legion Post 57 at 820 North Liberty in the open field. For more information, call 847-460-2467.
It's our great honor to talk with the man that all of Elgin and all of Chicagoland and all the world knows, our good friend Floyd Brown. How are you, Floyd?
I'm wonderful, and I'm even better now that I know all the world knows of you. Thank you for the elevation.
Universal, you were on WGN radio and then earlier TV as well, so they'd know about you.
Thank you very much. I just would like to make one thing certain that everybody knows. I was not here before Marconi. He invented radio before me.
You weren't on that first KDKA broadcast?
Right, not long afterwards.
Well, Floyd, we're delighted. We learned in the month of April that you're going to go into the WGN Walk of Fame.
And that is indeed an honor. It is indeed an honor. As you know, Jeff, I've been around a long time, had a lot of jobs, done a lot of things. And really to end my career with a place like WGN, which is really the number one station, the greatest call letters in the nation. Now, of course, depending on where you're from, you might challenge us a little bit, but I worked there for nearly 30 years. We were number one the whole time that I was there. Number one in audience participation, number one in billing, even against New York in many of those years. It really is the ultimate. I have a little bit of a story that I wanted to begin with because I know you would enjoy it. When I got to WGN, and I had been at WRMN, I'd been at the network NBC, and I've been there, and I got there, and they have a wonderful announcer's lounge. And I sat down in the announcer's lounge, and there was an old memo on the table next to the chair. And on the memo, it was from my hero. It wasn't for me, but it was to the executives at WGN. And he says, it has just been brought to my attention that a young lady wanted to get some information about broadcasting. And everybody was too busy to talk with her. And he says, remember, everybody, when you tried to get into this business, you needed help. And at this point, anyone who is too busy to help someone is too busy to work for WGN. That was the kind of atmosphere that I went into, and not only that, we were the number one station and what have you. Ward Quall was the leader. We had to have the best in equipment, the best talent, the best service, and the most rewarding experiences that you can have. It's just been terrific, Jeff, as you well know.
You can learn more about the information you saw here in Elgin today or about city services, programs, and events by going to the Elgin website at www.cityofelgin.org. And now the City of Elgin has a 311 contact center. Elgin 311. Call, click, connect by calling 311, the city's information and request resource. For everyone here at Elgin Today, I'm Jeff Myers. We'll see you next time.